especially the women.
Yeah.
So the women will cross the border, buy essentials, come into Biafra and sell. As at that time, every person was flat. No cash at hand, nothing. But we are still surviving. Just much like what is happening now.
Not doing
Do you
it.
know that Nigeria's problem is not difficult to solve? It starts from the president.
President is true. Welcome to Reality Check with Adaeze, where we discuss with real people, real issues that are affecting real lives. And today, you guys, I have the most special guest. I know I say all my guests are special, but this one is the most special guest I've ever had on this channel. And I'm very excited to introduce you to my father, Mr. Emeka Paulinus Mbebu. I don't know why I added your middle name. But yeah, this is my father, and we're here to talk about the unbreakable spirit of the Igbo man. But yeah, I'll talk about who my father is first of all, okay? Because my father is a lot of good things, and he's an accountant. He's a father. He's a husband of how many years now?
37.
It's true. 37 years, and he has a lot to share with us. He has a lot of knowledge, a lot of wisdom. So please, you guys should stay tuned to the end of this video to listen to everything he has to say. And if you have questions for him, drop your comments in the comment section, and we'll find a way for him to answer the questions, okay? So Daddy, you're welcome to the channel.
Thank you for having me.
So today we're going to be discussing about the Igbo, I'll call it the Igbo spirit, or the spirit of the Igbo man. If you guys are new to Nigerian history, okay, if you're new to Nigerian history, there was a war between Nigeria, that is the other regions, and the eastern region. And it was, from what I've heard and what I've read, it was one of the most brutal wars that anybody has ever experienced. And somehow we survived the war, and a lot of people, lost their lives. A lot of people lost their livelihoods, and so many things were lost. But today, it was the Igbo, the Biafrans lost the war, okay? But today, the Biafrans are still, or the Igbo people are still doing very well, and in fact, they are thriving, they are excelling in various different fields, in all over the world. Any country you go to, you must see an Igbo man there. So I want to ask my father how we were able to survive the war and still go on to become great, considering that we had all the odds stacked against us, basically.
Okay, let me start first of all by acknowledging the fact that a lot of people are confused about the difference between Biafra
yes, because me too.
and the Southeast, or the Igbos.
Yeah.
Before the war, or when we got independence, we had only 3 regions, 1 in the north, 2 in the south. That's the eastern region and the western region.
Yeah.
From Asaba to Lagos to Badagry was western region. That means that some Igbos were part of the western region.
Oh.
But in 1963, the midwestern region was carved out of the western region. So we now had 3 regions in the south and 1 in the north because of the policy of one indivisible north. Then Gowon came to power through a military coup, the retaliation coup of July 66. In 1967, precisely May 27, he created the 12-state structure, balancing the structure by having 6 states in the north and 6 states in the south. And that was to balance the structure of Nigeria. If we had remained like that, maybe there wouldn't have been any serious problem after the war. No, there will still be war, because that was even what the last straw that broke the camel's back that caused the war. But we are not here to say who caused the war or who didn't cause it, but I'm just telling you to know that that's the last straw that broke the camel's back. But how did you were talking about the spirit?
Yes, because when I hear stories of the war, and I'm like, how did people survive that war first of all, and even the ones that survived, how did they now become who they are today?
Okay, I'll tell you how we survived. Naturally, when your life is threatened, they say necessity is the mother of invention. When your life is threatened, when you are pushed to the wall, I've heard it from you that if you are pushed to the wall, you don't have to...
to pull hole. It's Nigerians that always pull hole, and they'll keep going. They don't have any end.
No. This one, we had to stand our ground. And, when you are fighting a war of survival, it's different from... The soldiers then, the Biafran soldiers, they knew that they were fighting a war of survival. And if you are fighting a war of survival, then you have the spirit that cannot be broken. Yeah. For example, the Nigerian soldiers were there as career soldiers. They were paid salaries.
Yeah.
Biafran soldiers, I think I've not had any other story of any country where soldiers were not being paid salaries.
Yes.
And they were dying. And they were volunteering to go to the war and fight and die for their motherland or their fatherland.
It's true, without any compensation.
Without any compensation. That's because they felt that they were threatened. If you do nothing, you will all die.
It's true.
So it is better you die fighting than to die docile, doing nothing.
It's true.
So that was why Biafran army was, to my mind, the only army in the world that was not paid salary and they were fighting the war. How were they surviving in the military? We had what we called land army. Those people who were tilling the ground, cultivating food, and they were sending gari and other things to the war front. Any day they see food, they eat. If they don't see food, they keep on fighting. And then you know that you don't even have the military might.
Okay.
You were not trained as a soldier. So they just bring you, take a gun, show you a target, and tell you how to shoot. And then within 3 days, you're already a soldier. They send you to the war front. If they give you a gun, and maybe they count bullets, 10, 20, and give you, unlike the military soldiers who had all the bullets. So they can come to the war front and just be shooting to scare any person away. You're not scaring people away. You must hit the target. Because if you exhaust your bullets, you don't know when next you are getting another bullet. So with that your bullet, you are expected to kill and collect the arms to fortify yourself, to equip yourself. So you don't just waste your bullet. You must hit the target. So that was how they went. And even if you are too forgetful, if you forget how to shoot the gun or what you were taught within those 3 or few days, you're on your own. So they went to the war front with hunger, with everything. Then let's talk about the survival of the civilians. Some of the civilians, because there was effective blockade, that nothing was imported.
Yeah, I heard of that.
We had a lot of scarcity of essentials. I've mentioned a few. For example, there was no salt in the whole of Biafra.
Yes.
The place where we used to source even the local salt, Ibru, was also threatened. Where we got the Ibru salt. Uburu salt, not Ibru.
Okay.
Uburu salt in the Afikbo side.
Okay.
So our people used to do what they call ahi attack. That's cross-border trade.
Yeah.
To penetrate the Nigerian side, buy salt, and bring it to Biafra. It was a risky war, a risky trade by especially the women.
Yeah.
So the women will cross the border, buy essentials, come into Biafra and sell. And of course, we were using Biafran currency. Because when Nigeria wanted to do that blockade, the first thing they did was to, first of all, change currency. This one we are still doing now. They changed the currency so that all the currencies that Biafrans were using, we could not go to the bank and exchange it for the new Nigerian pounds, which was acceptable internationally. So the Biafran currency was only restricted and acceptable in Biafra only. It's not good for foreign exchange, not exchangeable abroad. So with that kind of blockade, things were hard. No salt. When you don't see salt, you will know that salt is important.
This is that we use anyhow.
We use it anyhow. We don't know the value of salt. I just said that, by the way. Talk about other things. Let's come to something like how did we survive communication? During Biafra, we had radio. Not today you have something like social media, internet handset, and so a lot of communication gadgets. That time it was mainly radio. And then the radio, since there was no importation of batteries, how do you play your radio when your battery runs down? Incidentally, Biafrans were very ingenious. What they did was, I don't know who invented it. You can go into the farm, get some batteries you threw away long ago, come into the house, peel the back. If it is a 6 radio, it's a 6 battery radio. You bring 6 pieces of batteries. Peel
all those big batteries, those round.
The normal battery. So if you peel the back, you will tie wire to the head of the battery. Then use that wire and tie it to something like loose like pendant, but it's mainly iron or zinc or whatever. Tie it to it. Then one battery in this cup. Just find 6 tumblers. Drop the battery in this cup and use that iron and place it inside the next one. Tie the battery here, drop into the next one. Tie the battery here, drop into the next one. Then at the ends, you tie this one, the head of the battery. I mean the metal object. Drop it in here and tie it to the radio. Tie this one to the radio.
And it was working.
Then you now pour into it salt solution. This battery does not die, but your radio will not be moving. Will not be stationary.
That one's not a problem now.
So what happens is that when the battery becomes weak, all you need to do is to pour away the liquid.
Water. And
then add another salt solution to it. And that was
but
what
this
you
salt
used.
was scarce that time.
Yes, but you have to manage and get it. Once you have it lasts very long. Maybe 6 months, 1 year before you can change it. So how many times will you change it during the war? So that's what we were using to listen to radio and know what was happening all over the Biafra land. They will tell you that the battle is going on very well at Afikpo or Owerri sector, Umuahia sector, Port Harcourt sector, Enugu sector, Onitsha sector, wherever. Because you have to be up to date on the information. If you are not up to date, you may not even know when they will enter your town.
Yes, it's true.
And you'll be taken by surprise. Luckily, because we are from Ozobo, they entered Onitsha early in the war, but they never progressed beyond Onitsha towards that Onitsha-Owerri road. So that's how we survived in terms of communication to be able to keep up to date. What are we listening to? Radio Biafra and BBC and others. Then,
what of medical supplies?
That one is another story. There were no medical supplies. In fact, when a soldier gets wounded at the war front and you bring the person out, assuming there's a bullet lodged into the person's loins or leg or whatever part of the body, if there are no anesthesia drugs, as far as they were concerned, the doctors must bring out that bullet, even if it means the soldier crying. But the important thing is that they want him to be alive, so they must remove the bullet. So, but the Biafrans, because they were very ingenious, they came up with, they did a lot of things on their own. They produced, their pharmacists produced a lot of drugs on their own, a lot. Then, basically, that's how we survived. The only thing I remember with nostalgia now is that after the war, most of those people that did all that feat, they were not utilized by Nigeria. One of or the leader of what they were calling RAP during the war, Research and Ammunition Production, was Dr. B.C. Nwosu, the first Nigerian graduate in atomic physics. He was the chairman of that RAP. After the war, they gathered all those scientists and then they started what they called PRODA, in Enugu Products Development Agency in Enugu. And what they were doing was just maybe ceramics and
imagine
a lot of them like
someone that read atomic. Imagine.
So, because Nigerians did not want to tap into those talents, instead they were afraid of them. And because they were afraid of them, they didn't want those things to stay. Even the word Biafra, Nigerians were afraid of it. Gowon had to change the Bight of Biafra and merge it with Bight of Benin. But the word Biafra is not even the cause of the war.
War, yes.
Because as far as I'm concerned today, the Biafrans, when you mention Biafra, we know that you are talking about the southeast and majority of the south-south.
Okay, so it's not just Igbos.
It's not just Igbos.
Okay.
So if you're afraid of, if that's the best words to qualify them, just like when you talk about Arewa or you talk about Udua.
Okay.
If you say southeast, then you are talking about basically the Igbo states.
Yeah.
But that's not it's not synonymous with Biafra.
Yeah.
Biafra is wider than the southeast. Biafra is much more than the Igbos.
Yeah.
That's one thing we have to understand. But even till today, they are still afraid of that Biafra, and they don't want us to read the proper history of Nigeria because somebody is afraid of Nigerian history. And when you come to that Biafra, but like I said, the spirit of the Biafrans, that's both Igbos, the Efik, the Ibibio, and whatever. The spirit is something else. Cannot be broken.
Yeah.
They survived the war by eating a lot of things. They
food.
were eating no meat, eating lizards, anything that can come across. As God will have it, most of the trees like breadfruit and other things, they were producing it abundantly during the war. They produced abundantly. That one is a spiritual angle to the whole thing that people must survive.
Survive, yes.
So the Biafra spirit carried us all through because we knew that we just had to survive.
Yes.
Somehow we just have to survive.
Yeah. Okay. After this war was over and all the casualties and the destruction everywhere, how did they get back? I remember the first time I heard about the 20 pound. I think it was you that told me when I was
20 pound
yes,
policy.
Yes. I want to know more about that 20 pound policy. How did it happen?
Okay. After the war, we were still using Biafran pounds.
Yeah.
And Nigerian pounds started infiltrating into Nigeria, so into Biafran side. We were using both Biafran pounds and Nigerian pounds. Along the line, they told all Biafrans, Awolowo was the Minister for Finance then and the Vice Chairman of the ruling council, military council then. So the Biafrans were told to go and pay in the money into the banks.
Yeah.
So that it can be exchanged for the
legal tender. Like what is happening to us now?
The Nigerian pounds. So we went, by then there were not many banks. ACB, CCB, few of them, Union Bank, First Bank. That time they were answering Standard Bank and so on and so forth. So they created some cashiering offices in some local governments. For example, in our own case, in Newi local government, we went to local government. The few men and the few people that could go, it was within a very short period of time. The window was not very expansive. So people had to struggle to go and deposit the Biafran currency, Biafran pounds. So it was like the survival of the fittest at the local government and at the banks that time. But somehow, my father, for example, gathered the money from the members of the family, including his sisters, his friends, those, because my father was a teacher and was more educated than his peers. Yeah. So he had to gather all this, went to and deposited the money. We were expecting some kind of exchange rate, maybe one Nigerian pound to two Biafran pounds or whatever, so that you can have a rate. As at that time, every person was flat. No cash at hand, nothing. But we are still surviving. Just much like what is happening now. We are still surviving. Then, after some time, they came up with a policy that every account will be paid 20 pounds. 20 pounds. Not every Biafran. Every account. So in the case of my father, I think he paid in the monies, Biafran pounds, belonging to about 6 people. And they gave him 20 pounds. He came back, distributed it equally among the owners of the fund. So it's like reducing every Biafran to whether you were a millionaire, you were a thousandaire, or whatever. Reduced everybody to a flat, low level.
It's even less than 20 pounds.
It was less than. We were the lowest rung of the ladder in terms of social strata in Nigeria then. But like you asked, how did we survive? And how did we manage to break from the bottom
to the top,
middle,
basically,
and to the top? It's very simple. The same spirit of the Biafran. But more importantly, just like what is happening now, they brought a lot of army of occupation here we have a lot of checkpoints now doing some kind of, whether they call it Python dance, whatever kind of dance. But that time was a much more than Python dance, because almost every time you will see Nigerian army, some kind of settlement, to make sure that there was no insurrection from the Biafrans, especially those returning from the war front, who were very, very, the spirit of Biafra was very strong in them.
Yes.
Biafra had a spirit.
Yeah.
Not Nigeria. Nigeria does not have a spirit.
But sorry to cut you short, but this thing you just said now, I think is true. I don't think we have a Nigerian spirit.
We don't have Nigerian
Americans
spirit.
have. Canadians have.
There's American spirit. There's even German spirit.
Yes.
But what you have in Nigeria, you have the Arewa spirit.
Okay.
You have the Odua spirit. You have the Biafran spirit.
It's true.
It's only when they are playing football that maybe you can see some kind of, let me say, Biafran soul, Nigerian soul, not really spirit.
It's true. It's true. It's
not really spirit. You have Nigerian soul. When we are playing international football, you can see us united with one soul. But if you talk about spirit, I was discussing with some boys one day. I asked them a question: can you pay the supreme sacrifice, if need be, for Nigeria? Do you know what they said? They asked me, "What about you?" I said, "I may." He said, "Don't waste your life, because you will die, and the problem will still be there."
Exactly.
So there are people who are prepared to die for Arewa, people who are prepared to die for Odua, people who are prepared to die for Biafra. But no person is prepared to die for Nigeria. That's the irony.
Yeah, and that's actually the major problem we're having now. Yeah, we're not seeing ourselves as one at all.
So that time we had the Biafran spirit. And when they brought the army of occupation, flooded the whole of Biafran land with soldiers, Nigerian soldiers. And you know what soldiers are. They don't control spending. So anytime they pay salary, within 2 weeks, all that salary will enter into the hands of the Biafrans, because they had to buy things they need from the Biafran land. And because of that, first 1 month, money filtered. We got a lot of, almost all the salaries paid to Nigerian soldiers filtered into the hands of the Biafrans. Next month, the same thing. In fact, they got to a stage where even before they paid salaries, they were already owing. They were already owing. So even the Biafrans now knew and were expecting the payday, as if
it's them they are paying directly. But somehow that's what it means now.
They were now expectant, because they know from the payday money will flow.
Will start flowing.
Money will start flowing now. But
okay, wait. That means then they were doing mostly buying and selling, trading goods, food.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, but there were other industries.
Okay.
For example, after the war, they came up with the policy of reconciliation, rehabilitation, and reconstruction. That never was. Almost all the buildings, for example, I visited on Iche, January 13, or either January 13 or January 14, 1970. Immediately the war ended. Come and see devastation. Almost all the houses, if it is standing, then if you look at the roof, you will see stars, bullet holes all over the places, and windows shattered everywhere, some parts of the buildings destroyed, and so on and so forth. But could you believe that when the owners of those properties went back, they started struggling to rebuild them?
I can imagine.
So because of that, the first industry that boomed in the Biafra land was construction industry.
Okay.
In economics, they have what they call super profit. So when there's a super profit in an industry, then there will be a lot of movement into that industry.
Yeah.
When it returns to normal profit, a lot of people will now migrate to where there is super profit. So that time, construction industry was giving super profit, and a lot of people, you can see a construction company with only a briefcase. Once you have your letterhead paper, and then you just go and tender, get it, and start working. Then there was reconstruction. But after the reconstruction, the next industry that boomed was breweries.
Okay.
They started erecting breweries all over the place.
For enjoyment.
Yes. Because there's this greeting that we had during the war. When you see somebody say, "Happy survivor."
Okay, yeah.
Happy survivor. When you see a friend that you have never seen for the past 30 months,
it's true.
You tell the person, "Happy survivor." So the next boom was breweries. But as we are all changing from one industry to the other, from construction to breweries, from breweries to got to even banking industry. Banking started booming, setting up mushroom banks and so on and so forth. Then from banking to, as that was going on, a lot of things were happening also. Because in I think it should be around 73, when they came up with the indigenization decree, all the industries then was, it's not like now we have service industries. That time it was mainly manufacturing and other industries. So, and they were being controlled by the white men, Lever Brothers, UAC, Leventis, etc., etc. So they had to indigenize these industries when Biafrans did not even have money to also participate in the privatization, so to say, or Nigerianization. So while the Biafrans were trying to survive, they came up with indigenization decree that every company, you cannot own 100% of any company in Nigeria, especially those big multinationals. So they had to be indigenized by giving Nigerians more than 51% stake in them. So they had to sell their shares to transfer ownership of the company to Nigerians. And when they were transferring the ownership to Nigerians, we didn't have any money
to buy
the company. So that time they now bought over Lever Brothers, Unilever, that's now Unilever, UAC, Leventis, whatever. But of course, the shares are available at the stock market. By the time the Biafrans survived, they started now scratching today, tomorrow, without any deliberate policy on their behalf, individual efforts, every person. And now they found themselves moving in the direction of getting the control of some of those companies. But that's not the real issue. The real issue is that time, it was still industrialization, from extracting raw materials, converting them to finished products, which was like product-based industries. Little did they know that the service industry will overtake the extractive and the productive industries. In economic development, there are 3 stages. First of all, the extractive industry, which was basically what people were doing. Then the next one was the processing, and then the next one was the service industry. And each of these eras, if during the extractive and the manufacturing stages, if you're a footballer or comedian, hunger will kill you.
It's true. It's true.
Because you belong to a generation that is yet to come.
It's true.
But today, telecommunications has taken over. Those ones, the service industries, are now, because this is the service era. So during the service era, it has made nonsense of all those foreign companies and so on and so forth. So the new ones, you see that people are no longer disadvantaged because they came at the right time when the Biafrans had already gotten some kind of economic empowerment, whether on individual efforts or whatever. So that's about indigenization. The indigenization decree, I think it's 1972, if I'm not mistaken. So that's how we survived after the war, started moving one by one. But the issue was that the Igbos are Republican in nature. And they are migrants. As far as they are concerned, anywhere they can make money, they will go there and make money.
So that one
Even if money doesn't come out from there, they will make that place to be fertile and bring out money. But if you talk in terms of wherever we go, we feel at home. We can build, dwell there, but it attracts some kind of competitive jealousy.
Yes.
For example, I remember our people that moved to the north early enough, got to the north. There's no way you cannot bring your family to the north. And if you bring your family to the north, there is no way you can take your children to the Malam school. So first of all, you build the kind of houses we build in the east. Build the kind of schools we build in the east. And then that also attracts some
Yes, I
some
understand.
hatred and so on.
Even in the West.
Even in,
Yeah.
and I just said that to tell you that wherever we go, we carry our own atmosphere.
Yeah.
We feel so that we can feel at home.
Yes.
If we go to the north and you are a Christian, you cannot say because I'm in the north, let me enter the
mosque,
become a Muslim.
Yeah.
Of course, it's not possible.
Yes.
Because I remember what Ojukwu said. Ojukwu said there's no freedom of religion in Nigeria. They asked him how. He said, if I, Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu, say that I want to become a Muslim today, he said, our Muslim brothers will say, he has come again with one of his tricks. They will not believe that Alhaji Chukwuemeka is real. They will believe that Alhaji Chukwuemeka is a fraud.
Yeah.
So they will feel reluctant to accept you to be a Muslim. So by default,
it's true. You're a Christian. It's true.
Christian. So when we go there, we build our own churches, build our own schools, build our own homes, and live as if we are at home.
And that's why, yes, even build their own, even their businesses too.
Of course.
They do business aggressively.
They went for business. Basically, they went for business.
Yeah.
There is another statement that Ojukwu made, which I still remember. He said that a typical Igbo man, being Republican in nature, laissez-faire approach to life, is not looking for somebody to rule or to dominate.
Yes.
It's not in his DNA.
I remember we learned it in school then too. We were told that it was very difficult for the white men to conquer the Igbos. Yeah, because they're like, don't come. I'm not coming to you to look for you. Don't come and look for me. You didn't see me in your country trying to dominate you. Don't come here.
Yes. So they found it difficult to rule over the Igbo man, because the Igbo man they would say he's unruly, because it's strange to him that somebody would want to. Even the Bible does not say man should dominate the fellow man.
Man is true.
No, God did not tell man to rule over man.
It's true.
You can lead, but not to rule.
Not rule, yeah.
So that's why the Igbo man is not like every other person. So Ojukwu said that the Igbo man is not looking for a territory to conquer or to rule, to dominate, or to exploit. No. Laissez-faire approach to life. The average Nigerian, okay, let me say average Northerner, is looking for somebody to rule, to dominate, and to exploit. The Yoruba man is neither here nor there. He's not looking for some of 50% are looking for people to rule. The others are looking for people to rule. Then in terms of religion, you see an average Igbo man, you can be sure that he's a Christian.
Yes, it's true.
90% sure he's a Christian. See a Fulani man, you can be 90% sure he's a Muslim. When you see a Yoruba man, you are not 50% sure whether he's a Christian or a Muslim.
I remember in Ibadan then, you see church here, mosque here. Some people go to church and still go to mosque. Like it was normal for even in families to have
Christians and Muslims.
Yes, in the same family. Yes. They coexisted very well.
But that's exactly what we want of a new Nigeria.
Yes.
And that Nigeria is possible. Because what is holding us down is lies.
Yes.
That's even why they remove history.
It's true.
From schools. Because they know that if you know the truth, you behave differently.
Yes.
So they want to hold people in bondage with lies. And there's this statement that the third major cause of blindness is cataract, ranking after religion and politics. Because with religion and politics, people can be blind. Even the educated ones can be blind. So they say that the third major cause of blindness is cataract, and it ranks after religion and politics.
But it's very true, because sometimes when you argue, that's why I even try to stay away from some topics. Yes. If you try to argue religion and politics, people can get very heated.
They'll come for you.
People can get very heated.
So they use religion and politics to hold people down, not telling them the truth. Because if they know the truth, they'll behave differently.
Yeah.
The Igbo man is not bad.
Yeah.
I'm saying Igbo man now because if I say Biafra, the word Biafra will be
triggering them.
Yeah. But all Biafrans are the same. We are in the same eastern region. And we were the same in the sense that issue of live and let live, laissez-faire approach to life also reigned in Biafra. The second in command in Biafra was Election. It's not an Igbo man.
It's true.
He was the person that handed over after Ojukwu left
Yes,
Biafra.
it's true.
And he was the person that made the surrender speech.
It's true.
So until Nigeria comes to the place where we allow the spirit of excellence
Yes.
to reign.
I think that's the major problem I'm even having now. Let's even come down to what is happening now in politics. A lot of people are still looking at tribe as a yardstick for choosing their candidates. And some of us, to be honest, yes, Peter Obi is an Igbo man. It's not my business. That's not... I'm not considering.
It's not my consideration.
Yeah, it's not my consideration. I'm listening to him and what he's saying makes sense to me. But people always see it as, it's because it's Igbo, you want to vote for him. I'm like, no. Or because this one is Yoruba, that's why I'll vote for my person has to be there. That your person that has been there since, did they share money and give you? No. You've been suffering since the way all of us have been suffering. So what is the point? So
I will tell you now, a young man said, whom do I vote for? I said, I won't tell you whom to vote for. I will tell you whom not to vote for.
Exactly.
So I said, number one, Nigeria is a heterogeneous society. And Peter Tosh said, I don't want peace. I want equal rights and justice.
Exactly. Because sometimes peace comes at the expense of somebody's freedom. Somebody is suffering.
And that peace will not last.
Will not last, yes.
So Peter Tosh now said, all that he wants is equal right and justice. Of course, naturally, peace will follow.
Will follow, yes.
Why is it so? Why is equal right and justice the the yardstick for whom to vote for? If you vote a candidate that will mean a Muslim handing over to a Muslim, then
that's
it's not the right candidate.
Yeah.
If you vote a candidate that will result in a Fulani man handing over to a Fulani man, that is injustice in a heterogeneous society like Nigeria.
It's true.
Many ethnic groups. If you vote a Northerner to hand over to a Northerner, that is injustice.
Yes.
It will not fly. If you vote
one party,
even if you come to the South, if you vote a person that is that will result in Yoruba Southerner taking over mantle of leadership after the leadership has gone to the north and come back to the south again. It goes back to the Yoruba place. It's not proper.
Yeah.
In that case, Peter Obi is qualified for all this.
Yeah.
One, it will avoid a Muslim handing over to a Muslim. It will avoid a Northerner handing over to a Northerner. It will avoid a Fulani man handing over to a Fulani man. It will avoid an old brigade handing over to an old brigade.
It will avoid APC handing over to APC.
Then it will now bring justice to the southeast.
Yes.
So, if you talk about competence, if Peter Obi did not surface, maybe we would have found ourselves between a choice between the devil and the deep blue sea.
Exactly. A rock and a hard place.
Pharaoh's army behind, Red Sea in front.
And no Moses.
and no Moses. So, God had answered Nigeria's prayers.
Yes.
But God cannot intervene directly in the affairs of men in the physical realm. But He has answered our prayers. He has given us an open door. He has heard our cries and given us an open door. It's left for us to either cross and meet God on the other side of the door to take us further, or we stupidly close the door and
go
we'll
back.
languish in our problems and we'll start calling Him again. So He has answered our prayers. It's left for us to line up behind Him, because actually democracy is not the best system of government.
Okay.
According to the human standard, yes, democracy is the best system of government. But the best system of government is theocracy.
Okay.
Theocracy is government by God's elect. Democracy is government by people's
elect. It's true.
So when people decide that a goat will be their president, they will tell you that it has nothing to do with God.
Yes.
But that's wrong. But if you are talking about when theocracy or when democracy meets with theocracy, then of course you will have the best system of government, which is in agreement with God's will and in agreement with man's will.
Yeah.
And then in that case, Peter Obi is, as far as my mind can tell me, I don't need any prophecy for somebody to tell me that this is the finger of God in Nigeria.
In Nigeria, it is.
I don't need any prophecy, but otherwise, how else? We've been praying for good governance and other things. How else do we want God to answer our prayer if not by bringing up somebody he prepared ahead of time for such a time as this?
Exactly. And this thing you said about prepared ahead of time, I see it more and more these days online when people try to bring up any issue against Peter Obi. There's always a trail of, there was someone that put up something about how they allocated land to Peter Obi. They showed the letter of the person that allocated the land to him. They didn't show the letter of where he rejected it.
Okay.
Someone now went and published the letter where he rejected that land and said he's here to serve his people, that he's not here, he was appointed by God or something, that he's not here by his own power, and he doesn't need those lands. So somebody was not saying that. Isn't that this man has had his eyes on presidency since that?
No.
Because this was a long time ago.
Let me tell you, do you know how he came into politics? They were the elders in Anambra State. We are looking for a credible person to be made governor. Professor B.C. Wilson nominated. They asked him to nominate candidates.
Wait, is it that mommy's uncle?
Yes. So he said he will give them 3 candidates. Number 1, Peter Obi. Number 2, Peter Obi. Number 3, Peter Obi. Then they went to him where he was enjoying himself in the US and told him about it. He was like, over my dead body. I'm not interested in politics. Because he was never a politician anywhere.
Yeah.
So he wasn't interested. He was one of the richest men, had the best credit rating in Britain before he even came back to Nigeria and set up his own business. So he had money in Britain and then in Nigeria. So he was a reluctant governor. But the moment he came, he won the election because he introduced him to Ochukwuemeka Odumegwu, and Ojukwu now presented him as his own wish for the Anambra State under APGA. He won the election. They rigged him out. Enthroned Ngige. He quietly went to court because he believed in rule of law. Quietly went to court and won at the court. The court reinstated him after 3 years. He became the governor of Anambra State. That was not enough for them. The next thing was they impeached him for, of course, the budget was signed before he came to power. And then they allocated money for the renovation of the things they destroyed in Anambra State. The government had the radio stations and so on and so forth. But he saw that the money allocated for those things were too much. These are things he could, because
just fix. It's true. He's an economics too.
His major concern was to fix the problem, not to comply with the budget, which is an act of the parliament. So he saved money, and they impeached him for not following the budget or the act. That was the first time they sacked him from office. He went to court because he believed in rule of law, and then the court reinstated him. The next one was, they said that even the period Nguge ruled would be credited to his tenure. Nguge ruled for 3 years. So after 1 year or so, 1 year plus in office, they said they had to leave. He said, no. My office is not vacant. INEC conducted the election and swore in Andioba as the governor of Anambra State. He went to court. The court sacked Andioba and said, Peter Obi, his tenure started the day he was sworn in.
Yes.
So it's like a cat with many lives.
Many lives, yes. So.
But after that one, he was elected second term. Peter Obi never built any billboard to say, Peter Obi is working like Willie is working.
Okay. Or even
he wasn't even. He was sort of allergic to
publicity,
conferences, and advertisement, and so on and so forth. He was just quiet, doing his own thing. He was achieving results. But in Nigeria, if you don't blow your trumpet, it will rust.
That's a big problem.
He didn't blow his trumpet. So after his second tenure, he went into quiet life again. no gratuity
Nothing.
or pension or whatever. He just washed off his hand and went back to his business. He was in his business when they called him at the platform.
Yes.
To discuss the issue of cutting cost of governance.
Yeah.
The moment he opened his mouth,
I remember that was the first time everybody was now.
that was when they now knew about Peter Obi.
Yes.
And that was what, because that was the first publicity he got.
It's true.
And he was not looking at the paper. He was just looking at the things.
Things from his head, yeah.
And Peter Obi is very intelligent and very good with statistics.
Yes. The way he throws out numbers, I'm like, how did you remember?
He will even do some calculations, additions and subtraction and multiplication, running into billions from his head.
From his head.
Without calculator. So that was when Peter Obi came to limelight. And then when they saw that people accepted him, Atiku now wanted him to become his vice in 2019. But that one did not succeed. This time around, he wanted to run on his own, even against Atiku. And of course, because he cannot give shishi or
exactly,
he cannot buy votes. Doesn't believe in buying votes. He's coming to serve you, and you want him to pay you to come and serve you.
Exactly.
Not Peter Obi. So he saw where they were going, and then left them and went to an unknown party, Labour.
Yeah.
And then Labour became the party to
household
talk about.
Name now.
Household name. So Peter Obi, like I said, is God has heard our cries and God has answered our prayers. He left for us to accept the God's answer to our prayer. If we reject it, God will just be looking at us.
So, yes, nothing. And one thing people forget is that
giving us free will.
Yes, and people forget that even if you are suffering today, crying on the street and fire is pouring, I don't know, no matter what is happening, it does not affect God. Like, God is still God.
Yes.
He's still comfortable where he is. He's still happy and, everything is the way it's supposed to be. So it is you that will suffer the consequences for your own actions. It's not God that will suffer it.
Yes, because one thing they don't know is that we are not moved, God is not moved by our cries.
Cries or tears,
He's moved by our faith. So, and faith has to do with believing and acting accordingly.
Exactly.
If we believe that Peter Obi is God's answer, then all we need to do is to act
and go and vote.
And that is it.
Because many people now, I'm just praying, because I've seen people that said they're not voting this election, they don't even have their PVCs and all of that. And I'm wondering, why? It's very sad.
They are not tired of suffering, because if you're tired of suffering, you will do something differently.
Yes, it's true.
You act. Me, I'm going to vote. Even if I don't vote others, that presidency,
yes.
I must vote. Because a governor may not be able to change the atmosphere of Nigeria.
Yes.
But a president
can change
the atmosphere.
Yeah.
Peter Drucker, one of the management writers, wrote in his book, The Practice of Management, he said that the bottleneck is at the head.
Yes,
so if you don't want anything to pass down to the body,
it's on that head.
It's at the head.
It's true.
If it is corruption, if it passes there, the whole society will be corrupt. If it does not pass there, it will not pass down to the bottom of the bottom.
I know even Peter Obi says it that if you don't chop, it's because the head they are chopping. That's why people under them are chopping too. But if you don't chop, they will not even have the guts to even try it because they know that our guy is not doing it.
You know that Nigeria's problem is not difficult to solve. It starts from the president.
President is true.
If the president wants to solve that problem, let me take one of them, like this insecurity. If I come to you and say, Adaeze, you are a major general or you're a general, I want to make you the chief of army staff on one condition. You must end insecurity in a matter of 6 months. Already, because Peter Obi is somebody that believes in management by objective, he sets standards.
Yes, and
he can measure your performance. Because he will tell you when you came in, we'll give you the statistics. Now, we'll give you the statistics, whether it is
and I'm sure he have it in his head. During that meeting, I'm not sure he even be calling it up from anywhere. He'll be telling you straight.
He's so versatile that he can discuss with anybody. When he was governor, he said it that if I make you a commissioner and you come for executive meeting and everything I say you concur, you don't object, you don't even query my opinions, then I don't need you.
Exactly.
He will sack you. So if after 6 months, he now calls you, how far? He will tell you that you have not performed or you have performed. And if you have not performed, he will remove you.
Exactly.
If you know that he will remove you if you do not perform, all you need in management by objective, all you need to do is, you want me to end insecurity in 6 months. This and this is what I need.
Exactly.
He will empower you. If somebody below you is not performing, he will empower you to sack the person.
To sack that person is true.
It is, in case of corruption, for example, it is better to sack somebody if you feel that it's corrupt. Sacking the person, you may just ease the person out. Like, say, you retire the person, pay him his full benefits. It is more cost effective than for him to be in the system. Because if he's in the system, there are some.
That's like a huge
some of our generals, retired generals, some of them, I know one of them, I don't want to mention his name. Even if from the day he entered the army to the day he left, we were paying him 1 million naira per day. The money he left with was much more than that.
Imagine.
1 million naira per day will give you 365 million in a year. That's about 1 billion in 3 years.
It's true.
In 10 years, you are talking about how many billions? So, but they left with, I don't know, most amount of money that if you divide it per day it was much more than 1 million naira a day. So for such person, if you discover from the one that the person is corrupt, the first thing you will do is to retire him and give him his full benefits. Then he gives way. And if he knows, he will now sit up. If you talk about corruption, that's why I'm saying that it's not very difficult to rule. Let me use the knowledge I gained in fighting corruption in banking. I went on a course, and we were told that the society, bankers, are a reflection of society. He said 10% of the bankers are very dishonest. Very, very dishonest. In fact, you can infer that their reason for looking for a job in the bank is to come and make money quick.
They went straight to the source.
Because that is where the money is. Another 10% is so honest that they can never disappoint you. Whether you are looking at them or you're not looking at them. In fact, if your money drops, they will pick it and say, madam, see your money.
Money is true.
Those ones are very honest. Then there is the remaining 80% are neither honest nor dishonest.
It's opportunity.
so the issue is that we were told that your job is to find out the dishonest 10% and fire them. Find out the honest 10% and encourage them. Then the 80% tighten your internal controls.
Okay.
If 100 people steal or embezzle money, and maybe you caught only one person, that system is porous. In fact, they'll be blaming the 1% that 1% that was caught. So how come you are not smart? But if 100 people steal, you catch 99, and one person goes scot-free, they'll be asking him, oh boy, in this kind of environment, you took risk. Why? Why did you take that kind of risk? So you discover that for the honest 10%, you find them out, and for the honest 10%, you identify them and encourage them. For the dishonest ones, I find them and send them out of the system. Then for the 80%, tighten your internal controls. Because if your internal control system is foolproof, I can assure you they will join the honest 10% and there will be 90%.
Exactly, maybe, it's true.
Even if they are pretending, at least you have 90% honest people.
And I always say that I don't even want pretend. After I'm getting my results, pretend.
It doesn't matter as long as I don't lose anything. Because you saw that you pretend to be honest because it is not possible for you to steal and get scot-free.
Yes.
I don't mind.
Because people always tell me that when I say, I have cameras in this house, they'll say, what if they now start pretending because there are cameras? I say, let them pretend. It's not my business what your morals are. What I want is don't steal, don't do what I don't want you to do, finish.
That's what I'm saying, that with Peter Obi, when he comes to power, assuming he comes to power, and we are praying for that, if he comes to power, the first thing you will do is that you will start changing the statistics, the positive trend.
Yes.
When a stone is rolling down the steep, the first thing you do is to stop the rolling.
Yes.
I'm not saying he will bring it overboard
Overnight.
Yeah. It may not be possible during his tenure, but at least he will lay a solid foundation for you to start moving
upwards,
until it now stabilizes on top.
Okay.
And that's just, if he uses his approach as that management by objective, he will succeed. If he says, we have 130 million people below the poverty line, he will tell you, in the next 1 year, I want it to be less than 100.
100 is true.
It's a measurable standard.
Yes.
Then we have a theft of our oil, so and so number of barrels per day. I want it to be removed completely. It's achievable.
It's achievable, yes, now. Because people talk
all
about
you need to do is to
like
tell him the things you require for your work. And then he will help to soften the ground for you to perform. If you perform, you will see that, I can assure you, because he's energetic and he's knowledgeable, he has studied about, let's say, electricity, for example. He has done a lot of studies. So tell me what kind of argument, stupid argument, an engineer or electrical engineer or whatever will come to tell him that he will not be able to argue. He will find his way through in any argument, because he knows when you are logical and when you are not logical in your argument. So he can reason at the same frequency with any person, whether you are an economist, whether you are an engineer, whether you are a lawyer,
doctor,
or whatever. So, and that's the kind of person we want in Nigeria today. Somebody who is IT compliant, who has a lot of information, somebody who, if he seeks your opinion, it is not that he doesn't know what to do, but he wants to make sure that he does not make a mistake. Not that he doesn't know how to solve the problem. And you cannot mislead him. Like they did in many times. I know many governments that they have misled. For example, during Abacha, one of my friends, a lecturer, a doctor, he said he doesn't want to be in the bedroom of power and he doesn't want to be outside the power. He wants to be in the corridor of power. Because those people who are in the corridor of power can tell the man inside the bedroom, don't come out, the people are angry. And you cage him inside the inside the bedroom. Then he will come to the public and tell them that the guy is drunk.
He doesn't want to come out.
Doesn't want to come out. And they will believe you. So you are like the power broker. So that's just about that. In the case of Peter Obi, he knows and he feels free. Because he believes that God is behind him. And that if you see the way he's moving about, you will know that he has angels guarding him.
So
not just.
I saw one. It was I think it's a rally in Lagos that he was inside the car that was open.
Okay.
My mind, I was like, put your head inside, though. Let them know shoot you from somewhere. He was just there talking, and I said, hey,
did you see during the flooding when he went into this?
And entered that boat. People said no,
without life jacket.
People told him, no, your life is no longer your own. Please come out from there.
You're not a common man.
Exactly.
Because it's like, if it's the answer to our prayer, then he's carrying the burden of many
everybody.
Nigerians.
Yes, now.
And we cannot afford to make mistakes, to lose him all.